Now, the award-winning film Alive Inside is set to be screened for the first time in South Africa, and it's a film that speaks very specifically to your life and work. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're expecting to see when the film is screened?
Well, Alive Inside basically is a documentary filmed over about 3 years, following the work of a social worker in the US who was really passionate about the impact that music can have on those with dementia and Alzheimer's. So it kind of documents the different stories and the impact that it has on specific elderly people that he was working with. And he's on this kind of mission to bring preferred music and individualized music into all the old age homes in the US, because it has such an amazing impact, decreasing agitation, really, as the film says, bringing out the life again, so re-enlivening, if you will, those with dementia and those who are particularly isolated.
Now, Karen, you're a music therapist.
Yes.
And registered with the Health Professionals Council of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't some type of hippy-dippy thing that some people have criticized. This is real therapy.
Yes, it is. It's a psychotherapy, specifically music therapy. So it's a 2-year master's degree at the University of Pretoria. It takes a whole lot of discourses from psychology, from music, musicology. So as I said, psychotherapy, we work with a variety of ages, and one of the fields is obviously elderly care. As music therapists, we really are passionate and believe that music is able to unlock something of a healthy person within someone who's so isolated. So yes, it's not based on playing whale music to people or just wandering around some old age home playing a guitar. It's really intentional kind of clinical use of music and sounds and songs and improvisation and songwriting, playing music with the person. So I'm not necessarily playing to you, I'm playing with you, and in that we can work on relational and social and emotional development.
Let's speak a little bit more about the film. We see that it's filmed in old age homes in the US, and the one story that particularly touched me was of an old man who really lit up when he heard his music, but more than that, a man who didn't remember much anymore and couldn't communicate very well could suddenly remember entire songs from his youth and sing them back. Why is that? What is music doing to us?
I think music has such, as you say, a kind of a magical, mysterious way of impacting us. It's got to do with how music impacts almost all the areas of our brain. So our memory centers, our emotion centers, our motor cortex, our frontal cortex, where we make decisions, and that kind of higher psychological functioning. So it impacts us kind of holistically in terms of brain functioning, but it also impacts us in terms of our bodies. So he became enlivened, he felt, in terms of brain, his brain was stimulated, and obviously that stimulated his body movements. And then because it impacts our memory center, we remember things like what we did when we were younger, or maybe schooling. And with those with dementia and Alzheimer's specifically, the long-term memory is affected, but it's not as affected as short-term memory. So being reconnected with your past is something that music can do, but it kind of connects you in the present, if you know what I mean. So it connects you in the past, and you can speak to people about it in the present. So it kind of unlocks all those memories.
Is that why when you're driving along in your car and a song pops on, you can immediately almost smell and remember and feel where you were the first time you heard that song, or what you were feeling when that song was playing at that particular time?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Or why some people will remember the wedding song or the first dance at their wedding, and they'll always carry that with them because they're listening to the music now will bring back all of those memories and what you were feeling at the time, etc. Yeah.
How wonderful.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, let's speak a little bit about Alzheimer's, because we know that there isn't a cure for the disease. So how exactly is music being used to treat Alzheimer's? Is it a way for these patients to improve their condition a bit, or what is it doing?
I think, as you mentioned, unfortunately Alzheimer's and dementia in general is a progressive disease. You might have moments of lucidity, or the music might be able to bring out moments of reconnecting and recognition, but unfortunately the path is one of deterioration. So how I use music with those with dementia is really providing a space for them to reconnect with their past, as we spoke about, but also to reconnect with themselves right here and right now. So connecting with me as the person singing with them, connecting with their abilities, kind of getting a better sense of their identity, but using music, which is a fun, it's not a threatening activity. It brings back all those lovely memories. So we chat about the good old days and when they went to dances and what their favorite movies were, and Elvis Presley, and we chat about all those lovely things. So it brings out the social. It also brings out the emotional. Sometimes when I'm working with people and we're singing You Are My Sunshine, then sometimes people are quite excited about that. Other times it reminds them of something really sad and they kind of reconnected with their emotions a little bit. So it's used in a variety of ways, but I think the biggest way, or the biggest word that I can use, is the word connection. So yeah, connection.
Now, you're a musician in your own right. What
Yes.
made you decide to couple together your love of music and performing with therapy?
Good question. I initially studied occupational therapy, so I've always been wanting to be in the helping professions. I worked with elderly care and in neurology, so I worked kind of physically with people who'd had strokes and people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I discovered this thing called music therapy when I think I was watching TV one day. Must have been a film about that or a documentary. And because of my love for music, and yes, I've always been involved in bands and choirs and making music, I thought that's a perfect marriage of therapy and helping plus music, which is my passion. So I went to go and study at University of Pretoria, finished in 2007, and have been working as a music therapist ever since.
Now, we've been speaking a lot about the elderly and how music can help with Alzheimer's and dementia, but your therapy can also be used across the board. In fact, music therapy is very helpful to children. Speak
Yes.
to us about that.
So I've worked with a variety of ages, from prem babies right through to those with dementia. So with children, depending on the context in which I'm working, if I'm working in special needs with those with autism, people with autism, children with autism are also isolated, so their communication and social skills aren't very well developed, or there's some hindrance there. So music is a really intimate, easy way of bringing that connection with someone. So offering the musical instruments, I'm listening to how they're playing the instrument with me and what's the relationship between the two of us, and I'm guiding them in being able to share or take turns or to develop their own sense of self. For example, if they're playing loudly and I'm playing loudly with them, I'm almost validating them musically, not verbally, but musically, and in a way that helps develop their sense of self, their sense of others, awareness. So with special needs, music therapy is really a lovely tool to be able to develop those emotional and social milestones. With prem babies, with palliative care, it's also about providing a space for the child to express their frustration or to express their anger or sadness at being in hospital or being sick, or experience 30 minutes of just pleasure away, kind of escaping the diagnosis of leukemia or escaping the fact that they're missing their mommy or their daddy. So there are a whole lot of goals and a whole lot of reasons why we would do music therapy with children.
How can we find out more about music therapy, and if somebody is watching this video and really wants to get in touch or find out more about what you do, how can they get in contact with you?
Definitely. I have a website which is www.capetownmusictherapy.co.za. There's all sorts of information there on what is music therapy, what are the goals, what isn't music therapy, and also how to study further and what the studies entail. If anyone's interested in studying music therapy, they can go to the University of Pretoria's website and just search for music therapy, and they'll tell you more about the requirements for that course. Otherwise, there's also a really great NGO that does a lot of work in the Cape Town area called musicworks.org.za if anyone wants to go and visit there. They're also doing some lovely work in Heidelberg, Silvertown, Bridgetown areas.